welcome to the Manic Pixie Dream Podcast. I'm your host, Caroline Georges, and today Pete Souvall, the host of the... What's your podcast name again?
The Vagina... I don't can't
The
think
Vagina
of anything.
Monologues Podcast.
Blackout Pod. With
The Blackout
Pete Souvall.
Podcast.
Yeah.
Yes. Are you sure it's not the Vagina Monologue Podcast? That needs to be a podcast.
I wish I could have made the Vagina Monologues podcast.
I think I made the Vagina Monologues Podcast. I think that's what this is, pretty much.
I don't think I'm qualified, but, I guess if I wanted to, maybe the name is still out there. There's got to be a Vagina Monologues podcast already.
I am sure there is. Well, I mean, the Vagina Monologues was enough.
Yeah.
I think that was, it's one of those things where it's like there's literally, one of the monologues is this girl talking about her sexual awakening where she's like sexually abused by her mom's friend and stuff, and how she and it's just one of those things where it's just like, oh, child abuse, how romantic and how female empowering and that sort of thing. You know what I mean? It's just one of those things where it was just like, I feel like some serious Me Too got slipped in there as and under the vise of feminism and that sort of thing. But it's like, oh, this little girl's being sexually abused by an adult woman, but it's, about her vagina, so we're not going to say anything.
It's like when there are those girls who go on stage and paint themselves with period blood. Have you seen that before? Or they'll just do it, and it's like, it's empowering. It's like, no, you're just trying to get views. That's it.
I think it's just honestly like I identify with lots about feminism that is feminism. You know what I mean? But one of the things is that like there's just I think it's just I think it's narcissism to like use your own bodily fluid to paint paintings when it's like you're clearly the only person that's going to appreciate that, and I don't know, it's just,
and the reaction it's going to get.
Yeah, exactly, and it's just like, I don't know, it's
not empowerment, it's just you trying to get views.
Well, but they do get views, though, because it is shocking. You know what I mean? It is shocking seeing somebody smeared with like, something that's like feces, you know, and I don't know. There was just like, but then they're not, I don't know. It's just one of those things where it's just like, you're making women look like they're gross and disgusting animals. You know what I mean? And there is this whole thing where it's like, one of the things that bothers me about feminism is that they want, instead of making standards higher for men, they want to make standards lower for women. Yeah. And so it's like, I don't know, there's you always hear those stories like where it's like a girl will be like, I fucked a guy and I left before he woke up and that sort of thing. But it's like, because you were doing him a favor. You know what I mean? You're not empowering yourself. You're just getting out of this guy's way before he kicks you out, you know? And it's just like, so it's not really empowerment. It's just like it's just lying to yourself that you're empowered. And it's just, I don't think I've ever been shamed for having a period, I don't think that's ever happened to me. And I feel like every single thing that can happen to a woman in this country, happened to me, and so it's like, I don't know. I've never been shamed for having a period.
I think it's like a young thing. But if
that's your biggest issue is like people having an issue with your period, then you really don't have that many problems.
Yeah, it's a very juvenile thing too, like to be afraid of a period. It's like if there are still girls who are like, I talked about my period, you probably don't want to hear this. I'm like, I'm almost 30 years old. I don't give a fuck. Yeah, like it's a thing people have.
For sure.
I'm not going to be grossed out by it.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, that's a good point, that it's like, if that's your only issue.
Yeah, that people don't like you having a period. But
yeah.
I don't know. Anyways, there are people starving in Africa. We don't need any more paintings with period
There are people
blood.
starving downstairs.
There are people starving downstairs. Yeah, thanks. Yeah. So.
Two of them made fun of me as I walked up, and I was like, well, I have air conditioning in my car, so sorry.
People make fun of you a lot.
They sure do.
I why?
I don't know.
You're really easygoing.
I think it's that. I think they know I'm not going to hit them. And it's the intimidation factor that they were intimidated at first and they're relieved that I'm not intimidating.
Yeah.
So it'd be like, it's like when you have a black friend who, and I'm not comparing myself to a black guy, but it's like when you have a black friend who you realize can take black jokes. Yeah. Like chances are that's all he's going to get. It's like, oh, when I first saw you, I thought you was a big black dude. And now I just think you's a big black dude. And I was like, what? fuck you. Yeah, but no, I don't care.
I mean, I guess like I do get a lot of like, I don't know, like like being asked if I do porn, or like, I don't know, ask like, you know, like, oh, like, are you an escort and that sort of thing. And it's just like, I don't know. It's just like, I kind of have to make the argument. Like, I look at how modestly I'm living. This is not, I mean, if I were escorting, if I were, you know, doing porn, I would live in a house, you know what I mean? In WeHo, you know, I would not be living in a studio apartment in Koreatown, you know what I mean? So it's just like, just for where I'm living and where I'm residing, it makes me so angry when people think that I'm actually like, you know, doing something that can make you a lot of money, but you know what I mean? It's not what I'm doing, you know?
A lot of the dancers I've known, they make money to get by, and like there's the possibility of a lot of good money.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, that's the thing. Like my club, it's just like I have maybe one good night a week where I make maybe like a couple $100, and then I always have like one night where I make maybe like $40, you know.
Yeah.
But then there's that 1 or 2 nights a month where I make a couple grand. That's where it's like that's where it adds up. You know what I mean? Yeah. And so but it's hard because, you know, like if you don't do extra at the club, like it does limit your income. And then you are competing with women, lots of women that do extra, you know.
Is that a thing?
Yeah. Oh, for sure. Shit. Like, I was surprised. There's this girl and I really like her and she's my friend and I have no judgment for her choice, you know, but she says that like she'll sleep with guys in the back if they tip her $1,000.
God damn.
I know. And it's like, and you wouldn't expect that from her. And she, you know, she's in school and she has like a long-term boyfriend and stuff, but it's like, this is a part of her lifestyle and this is part of how she makes money, you know. And so that's the price, you know, is that like if a guy gives her $1,000 as a tip along with paying for the room, you know what I mean, or paying for the suite, the fantasy suite or whatever, then she'll do it, you know.
What's her phone number?
No, I mean, and it's crazy.
That's fucked up. Like it's fucked up because it's just kind of, I don't know, like it's just having to, if you like money that much, like, I guess it's just, there's got to be a part of you that's numb to be able to do that for money. You know?
I mean, there's a part of you that's numb that has to do stripping.
Sure,
you know what
but
I mean?
comedy too.
For sure.
Yeah, it's the same idea where it's just like, it's, you know, I think Patton Oswalt has the bit about being a stripper. It's like you give her money, she shows you her private parts and whatever. I get up on stage and I talk about all this stuff and then people pay me money. It's like, that's way worse. It's just like, because it's just the audience technically isn't gaining anything. Like, at least if somebody goes to a strip club, they leave somewhat satisfied.
Or not satisfied at all. I mean, honestly, like that's one of the things that makes me feel bad about what I do is because like these guys, you're not getting anything of substance from going and seeking out strippers. I mean, like, and people want to think that strippers make all their money off of bachelor parties and that sort of thing. And that's really not true. Bachelor parties, they usually spend on the stage and they don't spend anything on dances, you know? Yeah. And then also it's like weird, like giving like a guy who's about to get married a lap dance and that sort of thing. I know. And it's sort of like, I feel bad because it's like, I know that like if I were engaged, I wouldn't want my man to be out there, you know, getting lap dances before we get married, you know? And so it's like, and I feel hypocritical. And then it's like one of those things where this is actually an insecurity of mine. Like, I don't feel like if I get married and stuff and my husband cheats on me, like I wouldn't feel like I would have a right to be mad. You know what I mean? I would just be like, well, this is karma. This is karma for me because I'm, you know, like a lot of the clients that spend the most money are unhappily married men, you know, and and so I don't know. Like, I hope I hope when I get married, I hope my husband doesn't cheat on me. But at the same time, like, it's just like, if it happens, it's kind of just be like, well, that's what you get, you know. I know that sounds kind of dark and stuff, but that's actually just like, I don't know, that's just how I feel, you know?
I mean, I guess it makes sense, but also you're providing, I mean, like, it's capitalism. You're providing a service, more or less, and then there's somebody who doesn't know how to rectify their own problems. They want to feel wanted, so they come to you so they can feel wanted, but then they leave emptier than when they came in. Yeah. Because it's just like, it's not like you're gonna finish them off. They're just going to go there. It's like looking at porn where you're just like, but at least in porn, like, you finish, you know what I mean? And then you're like, oh, but like, so some, like a young girl who's good looking acts like she's into you and then you pay her money. Sure. That's like the ultimate, like, I feel. And then you go home to a wife you hate.
Yeah.
That's like, I think it's just a lot of interior problems that people aren't rectifying. And, like they can get addicted to anything.
Sure. You can totally get addicted to anything. I mean, it's amazing. Like a lot of these guys are totally addicts for strippers.
Do you have regulars like every night?
I don't really hold on to guys that long, you know what I mean? Because eventually they want to meet you outside the club. Eventually they want you to sleep with them. Eventually they want more from you and that sort of thing. And, but you know, it's just like one of those things where it's like, I at a certain point, I can't tap a guy anymore, you know? And there's this guy that like, I lost a client. He's just like this guy that comes in periodically and stuff. And he wouldn't spend that much money, but I make maybe like $400 from him, you know, if he came in guaranteed, you know, it's like, oh, cool. $400 is here, you know? And, but he doesn't do dances with me anymore. Cause once we go back, he's always just like, suck my dick. Like, come on. Like, what, like how much? Like, and then it's just like, he's, you know, just offering me money to like do things for him and stuff. And he'll give me as much as I can get out of him without doing anything. But at some point, like he stops spending and leaves. Yeah. And then it's just like, so now he's dancing with other girls and that sort of thing who might be doing that for him and stuff. But it's like, I don't know, like, so it's like when $400 guy comes in, like I shouldn't even go up and talk to him because he's just like, he's not going to trust me, you know? And so, but at the same time, like there is just like this manipulation happening where it's like keeping it going is like suggesting that it could happen. And, you know, and that makes it more exciting and just like, you know, this might happen for you. You just have to spend another $100, like give me another $50, you know, and that sort of thing. And they spend it and stuff, but they leave empty-handed. Well, I mean, at least with me and a lot, you know, and maybe like half the other girls at the club, you know. Yeah. So I guess like, but also like just, I am trying to stop smoking weed, and I'm amazed. Like I was spending like maybe $500 a month on weed at one point. It's
expensive here too.
Yeah, it is expensive here, and I mean, I was buying it from this girl at a gas station, and that's how much I was spending. Like I was keeping this girl in business, you know, with how much I was.
Oh, so you were doing like the black market shit still?
Yeah, which is actually not bad stuff, and they like. But yeah, like this girl, like you know, like she was this Mexican girl that worked at this gas station, and I would buy weed from her and stuff, and it was. You know, like really good stuff, but it was like I was giving her like $500 a month for like the amount of weed I was spending. It was so much, and then but it's just like I remember the first time I ever danced, and it was in Utah, and your ex-girlfriend worked at this club.
Oh, I dated her for like 2 weeks.
Oh, really? Yeah. Oh, okay. Well, you dated. This is a weird connection between Pete and me. Is that I worked at a club that you dated a girl who worked at the club too, and
what was the club? Which one that is. So you know where Trails is? Mm-mm. Okay, so Trails is on 3rd West. And it's across the street from my dad's warehouse. And then I think Southern Exposure is somewhere down the street.
Yeah. Oh, so she didn't work at the same club as me?
I don't think so. But I know girls who worked at Southern Exposure.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So that's still a weird connection.
Yeah.
And, but the first night I ever worked there, it was like, I had to get so drunk. Like I was falling, it was literally like I was a stripper falling off the stage, so drunk, you know? And I can work sober. I work sober most nights and stuff, but even now it's just like I get there and like, you know, one guy's a dick to me, go talk to another guy, he's a dick to me, go talk to another guy, he's a dick to me, and just like, you know, and it's like 3 guys are a dick to me. I haven't made any money yet. I'm already, you know, stressed out. Like there's this girl being a bitch, you know what I mean? And it's just like, like I just need to just, you know, I need to smoke weed, you know what I mean? I need to just lift this off of me, you know? And it's like, I don't think I could ever be fully sober and still be a dancer, you know? And I don't know, like I wish I could reach that level of just of zen of being able to like be sober and dance at the same time. But I don't even know if it's
that. I think it's like a level. It's like it's got to be like because it's the same thing with being able to do certain things for money. I think there's like a level of either like I don't know if you can develop sociopathy or like some sort of like extreme numbness to where you just don't feel anymore.
Yeah.
Whether through abuse or just repetition, where that just becomes your life. Mm-hmm. I think it's more of just like, because how old are you?
I'm old.
You're old?
I'm old. I know. You
Sorry.
shouldn't. I'm old. I'm a grandmother.
Well, because like I was talking about the difference between like 25 and 28 now. I'm almost 29. Mm-hmm. And it's just that difference is so monumental where I'd imagine if I were doing something where I was making tons of money when I was 20 mm-hmm. and then I looked at it when I was 25, I'd be like, fuck, I gotta, you know what I mean? And it's something that like now is, you could kind of view it as like I'm selling a piece of myself.
Yeah.
And I'm not really gaining anything in return. It's not marketable to anything other than this industry. So there's a place you cap unless you're willing to go further, like you were saying. But yeah, I can't imagine. I think there are people with comedy. It's the same. They have to get fucked up to go.
Oh, for sure. Well, also just like, I mean, I don't do coke, but I mean, the times I have, like, I totally get Wolf of Wall Street. Like, I mean, I think to fully understand the psychology of Wolf of Wall Street, you have to have done cocaine. Yeah. Because it's like cocaine will make you just a total sociopath. It'll completely numb you to like all of your good emotions, all of your good feelings. It'll make you like, I mean, it's.
All you want to do is talk about yourself, too.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And so, like, a lot of girls are dependent on cocaine because it helps them perform, it helps them work, it helps them talk to guys, it helps them. And then also, once they get them back in the VIP room, it makes them sociopaths. You know what I mean? And it's just like, I remember, like, there's this girl, and she just, like, took, like, a bunch of cash out of this guy's wallet, went to the dressing room and stuff, and she was just like, I hope he doesn't find me. I hope he doesn't find out I took his money. Like, I hope he leaves. I don't really, she was like panicking. And it's just like, if you're freaking out this much and I mean, like, if you get caught, you're going to, you know what I mean? Like, they have cameras. Like, what are you doing? You know what I mean? But she was just so like, money. I need money. You know what I mean?
Was it Cardi B?
No, Cardi B. I mean, honestly, some of the girls I work with, Cardi B doesn't have shit on some of the girls I work with. But Cardi B was, I mean, I will defend Cardi B. Because I do think stripping, like, I get the lifestyle, you know what I mean? And it can turn you into a total, like, pirate, you know? Yeah. Where you're just, like, but with Cardi B, I don't think she raped anybody. Because, I mean, I think a part of, like, getting a guy fucked up and getting a guy drugged up is to, like, immobilize him so you can't sleep with him and so he can't perform. Yeah. You know? And so you keep this guy up, you keep this guy awake, and you keep this guy horny but unable to perform for long enough. You can make so much money doing that. Yeah. You know? And it's not like you're holding a gun to anybody's head, making them do drugs, making them drink, making them, do anything. But a lot of these guys are kind of all here for it, and that's the experience they want when they go to strippers, Yeah. And so, and sometimes, like, I mean, it's just like, it's amazing. Like, sometimes guys will just go into strip clubs looking for a girl to deal for him, and that's all he wants. Like, to do, like, I don't want to dance, but do you have any coke, and it's just like, but, the lifestyle is really harsh, and a lot of the girls do struggle with addiction and stuff. And it's like, I mean, you see some really sad shit with addiction, like where there's this girl who I really like, and she's not even a girl. She's kind of older, but she's like, she doesn't have custody of her kids. Like, she's in just this really bad spot. Like, she got so drunk one night that it was just like the scene, like setting the scene. She was wearing, like, she has like this red negligee that's really sexy, and it's like really looks really good on her, and she's a beautiful woman. You know what I mean? But like, you're in the backstage of the strip club and you see this beautiful woman, in this red negligee with her hair done and her makeup done, and she's looking her best, and she has vomit all down her chest, like she's wet herself. Like the entire dressing room smells like piss. Okay. And it's just like, I mean, I don't want to like be like, I'm a good person, but like I stopped what I was doing to help her, and to, and it's like, and just helping somebody, and it was just really hard. And it's one of those things where it's just like, I feel like it's like the Grim Reaper showing you your tombstone. You know what I mean? Like, this is where you're going to be one day, Caroline, if you don't figure your shit out, and it was just, but it's just, addiction is just such a demon,
Yeah. Well, I mean, I guess that could very well be like, if you remain in the same spot. Like, it could be, because I think you probably just have to get progressively more numb to the fact that you're doing something that you don't want to be doing. But if you use it as a step stool to get somewhere else, which I think you could, because you're obviously, like, if you're not stage shy anymore, then fuck it. get up and do comedy and or whatever, or start acting. And I think there are a few people who have made that transition and they've been able to do it, which is cool.
Oh yeah, well, I mean, I've been surprised, like hearing some stories about comedians and stuff, and like I mean, Tim Allen was a coke dealer, like like a high level
trafficker,
coke dealer. Yeah, like was a coke trafficker and stuff, and now look what he's doing and stuff.
Same
and
with Joey Diaz.
Joey Diaz?
Yeah, he was big level criminal, and
really,
yeah, and like when he talks, it's very evident. So he'll like. I can't remember who it was that was interviewing. Like, didn't you hit somebody with a lead pipe? And he's like, no, 2x4. Hit him with a 2x4. He's like, they're still out there. They know who they are. It's like, God. This fucking guy. Yeah, it's super funny.
Oh, that is funny. Okay. See, I feel better about myself now.
Yeah, no, it's totally. Yeah. There are plenty of people who are definitely more degenerate than somebody who's like. Your activity is probably considered wholesome to certain people.
Yes.
So
yes, for sure.
I interviewed a woman named Jessa Reed, and she's like one of my favorite comics to hear on podcasts because she has these crazy stories.
Yeah.
And she drank her own urine with meth in it because it would give her an instant meth high. So she's got an amazing fucking story.
Well, I mean, it's like, if you take away the drugs, you know what I mean? You take away the urine and you take away those details and stuff. I mean, you just see commitment, you know what I mean? You see somebody who's like, I mean, if you're that committed to your addiction, then imagine how committed if you get addicted to like comedy, you know what I mean? If you get addicted to like something so positive, you know?
There are plenty of people with that story that it's just, this is not a bad business to come into if you are it's just a lot of broken toys.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and that's why I get along with. I don't get along with many people. There are not many people who are able to catch me just being a normal person because I'm usually guarded, and comedians are like if I it's like a sense of belonging because it's like they don't give a fuck. And chances are their stories are probably worse. So, yeah.
I just don't like people who are judgmental, and I really, I don't like being judged. Huh?
Actors
and just anybody who's judgmental and stuff, and it's just like, I don't know, I mean, a lot of the people who are judgmental, it's like have no right to be, you know what I mean? And it's just like, and I think people who are judgmental like are really good at hiding the stuff. Like it's their judgment is like, if you come out against somebody, it's like because you're hiding something. You know what I mean? That's in my opinion,
I think it's all self-preservation.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. I mean, I don't know. Sometimes I wonder, like, how many people, like, are just going along with the good shit that they think that with stuff that is good. You know what I mean? They're just going along with it because they think it'll make people like them. But it's like if they were alive back in, like, not prohibition, but, like, if they were back alive in the 1960s, would they be against, like, black people having the right to vote? Because that would make people like them. Like who would you be? It's like in all these like specific societies, and how they functioned and how they managed. Would
like
you
the
be
people I see waiting in line for like Pink's hot dogs. I'm like, you all would have participated in slavery for sure. You fucking morons. Waiting in line for a goddamn hot dog.
Is Pink's good?
No, it's just a hot dog.
Really?
Like, how good can a hot dog be?
Some hot dogs are really good.
I know, but it's just kind of like, would you wait in a 45-minute line for a hot dog? I wouldn't wait in a 45-minute line for most things. Like, I hate Disneyland because it's like, even when I get in there, I'm like, a 2-hour line. I love Space Mountain.
Yeah.
But like, it's not worth 2 hours of me being like, this is great. It's just not going to happen.
I went to Disneyland with my aunt and I just was bored the entire time. And it was just like, I don't know. Just
horrendous people too.
I know. It's just, I don't know. And it's one of those things where it's like you're bored, but there's all these colors and all these like the singing, all the joy and all like the kids laughing and stuff. And you're just like, I wish I were other places. You know?
And then you're like, maybe I'll get a churro. And it's like, okay, this churro's $9.80. It's like, okay, well, I guess I'll just have water. Okay, the water is $45. It's like, oh my god.
And then also, like, I think Disneylands are like number one on like terrorists.
I'm surprised nothing has happened.
I know there's gonna be like something's gonna happen one day, and it's gonna be the day I go back to Disneyland. That's when Disneyland gets a terrorist attack. It's gonna be that day.
They'd probably do Disney World. That one's bigger, and Florida stinks.
They'd be like, no, we know you hate Florida. Really?
No, it's not. Oh. The Animal Kingdom is pretty great. Yeah. Really? Oh, it's so fun. They have a cool roller coaster.
It's like the newer part, so
yeah.
I kind of stopped going by the time that came out.
Yeah.
Okay, so you have some crazy stories from your addiction days.
I do, yeah.
Okay, so what's the most life-changing one? What was the last one to happen before you were like, I need to get sober?
Oh, I died.
You died?
I died, yeah.
For how long?
My ex-girlfriend resuscitated me almost immediately.
Okay.
But I went out, and I was at that point where people were trying to get me to quit. So my family was trying to get me to quit, and she had become a person who now she realized she had a fixer-upper, and she loved me, and I loved her. But I think she also was like, oh fuck, like now I can't just walk away. So I was like, I'm gonna go have some drinks with a friend, and I ended up drinking like a little pint of Crown Royal to myself, which back then was nothing for me. And then I went to the bar. Then we got more fucked up at the bar. And then we went to a house party, and it was like at an apartment, and it was just like 5 dudes. And then they just left me there. And so I was like, okay, so it's just me and 5 dudes. And then they came back, and we ended up snorting Coke, and then Xanax, and then GHB. And then on top of that, I was drunk, so I got back to our apartment. And she says that what happened was this girl that they were with messaged her on Facebook because nobody had her number. Somebody had stolen my phone. And so they were like, we have your boyfriend. What's the address? He's like, they were going to take me to the hospital because I was freaking out.
Yeah.
So I got there. My face was like chalk white, and she got me up to her apartment. And then she said that I was just like simultaneously laughing, and then I would start crying, and then I would like see stuff and like point at it and start like freaking out.
Do you remember what you saw?
No, I don't remember anything. And so the last thing I remember is like snorting something, and then like little flashes of stuff, like being in a bed and like throwing up.
Oh, wow.
But then, so what happened was, then I guess I started to like really like be out of it, and she like got me into the bathroom, and at that point, I was completely white and like really not responding to stuff. So she got me in the shower and turned on a cold shower and resuscitated me.
Oh, wow.
And I woke up the next day, didn't remember anything. She said she had watched me the whole night sleeping because she didn't want me to stop breathing.
Right.
And then I went to rehab. Like immediately went to detox, and then I went to rehab for a month. And that was, it was 4 years ago on the 6th. Yeah, so it was super crazy. But I have funnier ones if you want a funny one.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. Let's do a funny one.
I was in San Diego. I had this ex-girlfriend who was, she was half Mexican, so she was very, very feisty. And she really, really loved it when people stared at her, and she acted like she didn't. She's a good-looking girl, and she would like talk a lot of shit, and then I would have to pick up the pieces for her talking shit. So we went to San Diego for New Year's, and it was like whenever we went out, like she would just, it's always like mouthy girls who get dudes in fights. So,
yeah. I know.
So it was like, have you ever been to San Diego?
Yeah, and I got into a fight with my friend there, and then.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Was it in Gaslamp?
No, it was at her house.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I had this friend, and sorry, well, this is a tangent, but like this is something kind of bad. I do really struggle with misandry, like just kind of going into this place where I just like, men are the enemy, fuck men, I want to take all their money, you know what I mean? I want to like use them and stuff, and that's not good, you know what I mean? Even though it's coming from a place where it's like I've been hurt a lot, and you know, sure, but it's not good, and I'm working on it, and that is kind of the place that I have to go to do my job. You know what I mean? I like, because it's just like, even if I start being nice to a guy and I start empathizing with a guy and I start seeing him as a nice person and stuff, and then he turns on me, you know what I mean? That happens a lot at the club and stuff. So I just don't trust any of the guys there, and I just assume that their intentions are bad, and and it makes it easier for me to be manipulative and stuff. And so I mean, it's something that serves me in my job, but at the same time, like a friend of mine, she was like married to this guy in the military, and he was a Navy SEAL. So he's like a real, like there's like 2,000 of them. Yeah. And so, and this also happened when we got super drunk together. And so he was on a mission. She didn't know where he was. Like he was going to be gone for, 6 months to a year. Like she had no idea what he was doing or what was involved and stuff. And she she had an issue with some people figured out that her husband was a Navy SEAL and came to her house and threatened her and stuff. Like it was, and then she was living with her it was her fiance. So she was getting married to this guy. They didn't end up staying together, for good reasons. This girl, she was my best friend growing up, and we were in a therapeutic boarding school together. So we practiced our addiction together when we were, teenagers and stuff. And we just had this really unhealthy relationship and stuff. We were bulimics together. We would purge together and binge and purge together. And so she actually started stripping, in Washington, and I started stripping in Utah and stuff. And so I don't know. And it was something that kind of bonded us, that this is something that we both did. And so she moved to San Diego with her fiance, and when he went on this mission and stuff. And then she and I just got into, and so she and I were planning while he was gone. She wanted to work. She wanted to strip. Yeah. But didn't want to tell him. And so he totally forgave her for being a stripper. Not she needed forgiveness, but he was that part of your life is done. Sure. You're with me now. We're good. I don't judge you and stuff. And so she got it figured out. It seemed it's she got it right, and she was with this great guy who was a SEAL, and she was, living in this house in San Diego, and it seemed like she got her shit together, and she's not in the trailer park anymore, and she's not, she's not trash anymore, but it wasn't enough, you know what I mean? She wanted to go back to stripping, and so she's like, I found this great club, you should move up here with me, and we should just work at this club together and hustle together. And so she and I were coming up with all these plans, and then she and I just got drunk one night, and she just gave me some info, I don't know, she said something to me that she after her fiance left, she immediately went out, just got drunk, and fucked another guy.
Ah, shit.
And I mean, because cheating is never okay, but I just think that she just freaked out and felt her feelings were he's leaving me, he's abandoning me and stuff, and then that kind of came out with,
it's like a relapse kind of
thing. Exactly. And so she got pregnant.
Oh, shit.
But the thing is that she didn't know who the baby was, because she did sleep with this guy and got drunk, didn't remember if she used a condom or not, and then the other guy, who the SEAL, he was Filipino, and the guy that she slept with was black or something like that. So it was if the baby wasn't his, it was you would know, and so she was just I'm gonna have an abortion, and it's but this could be the Navy SEAL's baby, you know what I mean, still, and there's probably a better chance of it, and so I don't know, it was one of those things where it was just I'm all for a woman's right to choose, but it was I don't know, I just responded to it her wanting to do that, and I was just kind of not supportive. Not I wasn't supportive, but I was just no, I you don't have to do this, I don't think this is right, and it was and so she and I just it was so bad, we just got into this huge fight, and I you know, and I left and I took off and I went back to LA and I've never seen her since. And she, but she told my mom that I'm a stripper. And so that's how my mom found out. And, you know, and it was just, so that was kind of a betrayal, I guess, but she wasn't really my friend, you know what I mean? But it was just like that all happened because we got drunk, you know?
Yeah.
And
alcohol is a bitch.
It is. And it makes you angry. It makes you want to fight. Like it just, I mean, especially beer. I don't know
really
what's about beer.
It's for sure. Beer is the scariest. I remember that girl I was dating, whenever she would fucking drink beer, it was just, she would get those like shark eyes. You know what I'm talking about? Where they just look at you and there's no soul behind them. And it's just like, what the fuck? And it's super scary. Yeah, she was the first and only girl who's ever like hit me.
Really? Oh, she was abusive?
Fuck yeah. She bit a hole through my cheek once. She bit a hole through my cheek.
How do you feel about that? Because, I mean, you really just...
It's fucked up. Yeah. I think it fucked me up really bad. I mean, we were terrible together, but I never, I mean, like, let's put it this way. If I put hands on her at 30%, she'd be in the hospital. Mm-hmm. So, or I'd be in jail.
Yeah.
And, the last fight or whatever we had was when I got my DUI, and what happened was she was hitting me and I was defending myself because I was like going like this, and she ended up with a bloody lip, like a tiny bloody lip. I had like, my face was all puffy, and then they were initially going to charge me with assault, and then they saw the evidence, and you know, realized there was a history of violence against me. Mm-hmm. And nothing happened.
Yeah.
But it was like, it shows you how like easy it is for a man to get charged in that situation. So it was just even.
Do you feel like the police could have, like, do you feel like the police know what they're doing, and do you trust the police?
I think so. Yeah, I think they knew. I mean, like, it was just, she was going crazy while I was getting the DUI. She was like screaming and crying and stuff. So it's just, you know, I think they can tell. I don't necessarily trust the police, but those cops, they handled it well. The judge did it.
You know, I thought the police officer, I had last November, I had to file a police report against a guy. And I thought I had before and stuff, because my ex-boyfriend, he and I had I called the cops on him and stuff, and nothing happened. Like, literally nothing happened. It was just like, he just sort of talked his way out of it. I didn't have any marks on me. Like, he pushed me against a wall and stuff. And like, it was, but it was just like, it was all he said, she said. And like, and this guy was really smart. He's very manipulative. He was like this lawyer and stuff. And like, and so I was like, he just called me a crazy stripper and stuff. And it was, it was, sorry, I'm like still really like, you just never get over that. I knew
a woman who got beat nearly to death, and the guy and they had kids that were in the house, and he may do a year, like maybe.
Well, that's my cousin
in county, and not even in prison.
My I have a family member who this guy, he babysat me and my sister, you know what I mean? I grew up with him and stuff. And it was, and he always had a drug problem, always in and out of trouble. Like, I think he was arrested for the first time when he was 13, like getting in trouble. And I remember me and my dad were like sitting in like the McDonald's parking lot, just eating McDonald's, and we hear like screaming, you know what I mean? We hear like somebody screaming. And then we see my cousin running down the block in like his underwear and rain boots and stuff, and just like screaming and just like waving his arms around, and we were just like, oh, that's Josh, there Jesus he is Christ. There he goes, and it was just like, like,
Isn't
keep
that
eating
where
our
it
food.
all happens in the McDonald's parking lot?
I know. I know.
History happens.
But then he got his shit together. Well, this is the tragedy, is that like he got his shit together. Like, he got involved in this church. He met this girl at this church and stuff. They seemed like they were really in love. They had a baby. They had another baby. And then, and then all of a sudden it's just like my mom calls me and she's just like, you're not going to believe this. And it's like, Kendra's in the hospital. Like, she's going to, like, we don't know if she's going to live. Like, we don't know if she's going to survive and stuff. And it's just, yeah, I know. And it was just like, and Josh is in jail, and Josh was in a halfway house after 6 months,
Yeah, it's fucked up.
And it was, and I mean, I love Josh, and I feel so bad for Josh, and, But yeah, like he was, you know, he almost killed someone, and he almost killed a woman. You know, he almost killed his wife.
All these, like a robber or like somebody who committed burglary can go to prison for 10 to 20 years.
Oh yeah, I mean, we want to talk about like there would be if drug legalization were a thing, like there would be a third less people in jail right now. Yeah. You know what I mean? There would be a like 1/3 of the people that are in jail wouldn't be in jail.
What's that? And then there's also it would eliminate or it would at least curb a lot of deaths because you'd be able to size down on that. You'd be able to give people dosages, like or at least be able to give them recommended dosages. Yeah. You'd be able to vet the product because there's so much fentanyl in everything now. Yeah. So it's like it would make it so much safer. But then you could cut out the middleman of MS-13 and all the Mexican cartels that are fucking controlling everything. For sure. So
his kids live with their grandmother now, and so they're really happy and doing really well, and and it's sad that he can't be a father anymore. But I mean, goddamn, a friend of mine who I also grew up with, who also has a lot of issues or had a lot of issues. She and I. This has nothing. There was no drinking involved in this, but like me and this girl, I will not go back to Las Vegas. Like Las Vegas is just. I know. I went when I was 15 with this girl, and she met a guy on MySpace who was like this actor and stuff, and he was in a movie.
Was it Jonathan Taylor Thomas?
No, why?
I don't know.
Oh no, but
that's just like
what did Jonathan Taylor Thomas do?
I don't think anything. I think he's still.
Let's expose him.
I think he's still being Jonathan Taylor Thomas.
Yeah, that's
he's
true.
Probably still out there.
Yeah, I think he's a director now.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, and
I'm glad he's thriving. I saw Hillary Duff on a. One of those delivery commercials where they deliver you the meal.
Because Hillary Duff will deliver you food.
Maybe. I don't know. She's like, no, it's so easy. We can just cook and I make it for the kids. I'm like, you have a personal chef. Don't be an asshole. Just stop acting like you're a normal person.
I know.
You are Lizzie McGuire, and that's it.
Oh, Lizzie McGuire.
It's a great show.
It was a great show. But I won't say this girl's name, but so she wanted to meet this guy. He had one line in this really big movie.
Oh, okay.
So he was like legitimately an actor, I guess. He had like, I won't say the movie and I won't say the line, but he was in this movie with Ben Stiller and he had one line. And so he came and he picked us up and we were supposed to go get food. Well, we were supposed to meet at the hotel and she just wanted to meet him at the hotel and have dinner with him at the hotel.
Was she 15 also?
She was, yeah.
And how old was he?
26.
Ugh.
I know. It's like, that's kind of the thing. Like, just like, trust me, from my childhood, there's a lot of
common.
There's a lot of guys who really like young girls.
Yeah,
and it's like common. Young girls are so fucking dumb. They're so horny. They want to get fucked. They want to get fucked by like an actor who was in a Ben Stiller movie. You know what I mean? And it's like, so this guy, he came and picked us up and and then it's just like it escalated. We were going back to his apartment and stuff. And then there was like, we got to his apartment and there was like porn videos and porn DVDs all over. Jeez. And he told us that it was they belonged to his ex-girlfriend. And this is how naive I was. I totally believed him.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, it's fine. It's his ex-girlfriend's porn. It's not his porn. We're going to be okay.
That's just strewn about.
Yeah, I know. And then I think it was like years later when I was like an adult and I was just like, you know what? I don't think that guy did have an ex-girlfriend who left a bunch of pornography at his house. I think that was his porn.
I've dated a fair amount of women and never have any of them
left all their porn DVDs. I know.
At my
God,
apartment.
My goddamn girlfriend keeps leaving all these porn DVDs at my apartment.
Anal trouble number 2.
I know.
God damn it.
I know. And so, but I totally believed him. And so like, oh God, you use your ex-girlfriend's Pornhub password still? No.
Big Trouble in Little Cha-Cha's volume 3.
Yeah, but so this guy, so we went back to his place and they had sex and stuff and like, and so I know. And so it was so scary. I was so scared. He came out after they had sex and he sat down next to me and he put his arm around me. And then I was like, I've never been kissed before. And I had been kissed before, but I don't know why. I just instinctually knew how to lie and just like to get myself out of that situation, you know? And I told him like I'd never been kissed before. And so then he backed off and left me alone. He brought us back to the hotel. Everything was fine. We didn't get murdered. But it was like, I put myself in so much danger, and I can't believe like I don't know, like it's weird, like it's just like I can't believe I did that. Like I could have been a murderer, you know?
Yeah.
I mean,
I have so many I had so many friends growing up who were like 14, 15, 16 and dating like 30-year-olds. And like even back then I was like, what the fuck?
I know.
Like, and they would show up in their like, you know, cool cars. And I'm like, how do you bring, like, don't you have friends who when you bring them around, they're like, hey, this is a child that you're dating. Like, it's just, that's what's so weird is it's just like, it's not like, it's pretty taboo to bring a child around that you want to fuck.
So I was in my hometown and I saw Josh and he was carrying someone's kid. And guess whose kid it was? It was the girl.
Oh.
And it's like, so it turns out her and her husband now are friends with Josh and stuff. Yikes. And like, so he like is like around her kids all the time. He babysits her kids all the time and stuff. And it's like, I don't know. Like, I don't know. I don't want like, I do have like this reckless bug, you know what I mean? Where I love taking risks and I love, you know, I mean, I like risky situations and stuff. And I think people who have addiction issues like putting themselves in risky situations. Yeah, I was
going to say that.
Yeah. And so it's, but at the same time, like am I going to like risk my kids, you know?
Yeah, that's pretty rough.
It's like my biggest fear that like one day I'm going to love my husband more than I love my kids. You know what I mean? That like I would, you know, put my kids second, you know, to things, to their safety and that sort of thing. Cause it's just like, I don't know.
That's exactly why I'm afraid of having kids is the opposite of that. I'm afraid that I'll love the kids more than I love the person that I'm with. And then I'll be like, I don't love you the same way I love this thing. You know what I mean? Because I know I would immediately love kids if I had them.
Yeah.
But I just don't want to have kids.
Yeah.
And that's like one of the, so I have like, yeah. Shit, what was I going to say? You know, what's interesting is after I quit, I became bulimic too.
Yeah, that's right. You did have an eating disorder.
Yeah. So it was for a long time.
That's how you did it.
That is how I did it. Yeah. It was.
Yeah. Is that true that you went to a doctor and he just gave you Xanax and that was what put an end to it? At first,
yeah.
Really?
Yeah, I didn't go to a therapist for a long time.
You go to one now?
Yeah, I did for a long time, and she was awesome. She was an eating disorder specialist. My mom is actually an eating disorder specialist, but because she had the same problems when she was growing up, and now she works in that field, so she easily recommended somebody within her circle, and she was great. But I had to go to the ER twice for low potassium and stuff. I don't know if you've ever had that.
No,
Fucking sucks.
I think I never overdosed, but when I was doing coke, I woke up and like there was like just so much blood. Like I woke up and passed out again, and so like
No, this was for purging that I went to the ER.
Oh really?
Yeah. Because when you only have so much potassium in your body.
Yeah, well, that's what happens. Like bulimics don't die. Bulimics die from heart failure that comes from like dehydration and losing all these minerals.
So I had to get potassium. Like I felt like faint, and your heart starts to flutter, and I was like, I got to go to the ER. And then they have to inject potassium into you, and it fucking hurts because it's so thick. So they have to dilute it, and it takes like 10 hours.
Oh,
so
wow.
you have to sit there and have this like concrete injected into you.
Oh my gosh.
So, and then the bill is $10,000. So, and then you call the hospital and you're like, I don't have $10,000. And they go, okay, well, we'll discount it by 90% if you can pay cash. And I'm like, okay, sure.
Oh, the healthcare system.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, there's, recently, Louis Tomlinson from One Direction, you know, One Direction. So he's like had like a string of tragedies. His mom died from like kind of young, and then his sister recently died this year.
Jesus.
And she was 18 and she died of a heart attack. And it's like, she didn't die of a heart attack. 18-year-old girls don't die from heart attacks. Yeah. That doesn't happen. They die from bulimia. You know, they vomit themselves to death, you know, and it's like, it is a really, I mean, it's, because the thing is with bulimia is that it does give you a high. It does give you, it's like an immediate, like, Because it's just like you can just sit and you can eat whatever you fucking want, and then just like, and then you put in this effort to purge it all out, and you feel lightheaded and amazing because you're, you know, the stress that it puts on your body, but then you don't gain any weight, you know, and it's just, and then I don't know, like, have you ever done like cleansing purges? Like sometimes like I would just drink a lot of water, you know, whenever I would eat during the day. And then I would
always like, cause I was fat, I would try these diets, you know, and then I would be really extreme with them. So like I would be like raw, and then I would do raw for like way too long. Yeah. And then I would do a juice cleanse or whatever. Or I would be like, I really, cause people doing intermittent fasting, it's like that. When I hear that, I'm like, that's anorexia. You're being anorexic. Like that's all it is. And it's just your body is not taking in enough calories. Your body needs something like, I think just being a stagnant human, your body just with your organs doing their work expends something like 1,500 calories a day.
Wow.
So and that doesn't necessarily mean you have to take in 1,500 calories just to sustain your body and then keep eating. It's like you need a certain amount of soluble fiber, carbohydrates, protein, and keep it balanced. So it's not, people think it's just a diet. It's just like, you just need to eat.
I know.
Like you need to eat whole, solid, good foods. That's it. Yeah. And then you end up,
for me, it's like hydration is like if I'm
Snickers bars, fucking cookies.
Because I can't diet. If I diet, it triggers me, and then I start going crazy and stuff. So, like, for me, like, as long as I'm drinking water and exercising every day, I'm fine.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? I can still eat a hamburger, and I could eat salads, and, you know, I can have that balance and stuff. But, like, if I am dehydrated and I don't know I'm dehydrated, then it's like I want chocolate, I want ice cream and stuff, and then you're craving sugar instead of water and stuff, and that's kind of where my downfall is. And then also smoking weed gives me the hella munchies. And it's just like I feel like I'm 10 pounds heavier than I need to be because of how much weed I smoke, you know? And I don't know. It's just like it's not good for me. You know what I mean? Marijuana just isn't. I mean, it's good for other people, but it's just not good for me. And so it's just like, but at the same time, like there's all of this positive stuff coming out about marijuana right now that I'm listening to and I'm hearing, I'm receiving. And so it's like, if I'm having a day where I'm choosing to be sober and I don't want to smoke weed that day, and then I hear people talking about smoking weed, or like there's a movie I watched where like this like middle-aged woman has like, you know, smokes weed for the first time in 50 years. And she has this big empowering moment and that sort of thing. And it's like, oh, I want that big empowering moment, you know? And it's just like, so all of this stuff is being, I mean, it's just
glamorized.
Yeah, it is. And it's just like, but like weed, like the thing is, it can make you lazy. It can make you like eat a shit ton of food. It can like, it actually can do stuff like that can hurt you, you know? And like the homeless population has risen since weed legalization, which I am for weed legalization, of course, but it's like at the same time, like people, there is something about smoking weed that it's just like, I don't give a fuck.
I think
nothing matters.
I think there's people. First of all, it's like a case by case basis where weed can work a certain way, but then like I think people like if they have addictive personalities or if they're just inherently not productive people, like they could do the same thing with fucking weed that they would do with, you know, eating tons of food or whatever. That's just what they do. Or video games. People do it with video games. Like, I think weed is, I think if you look at the options out there other than weed, it's the best option.
Well, taking CBD has really helped me a lot. I will say that. I
haven't tried it.
Really? It's really, I should give you a couple pills before you leave and see how you feel, because it's,
I do not.
Oh, really? They're natural.
I don't even take Advil.
I think the only problem with these CBD pills is that they're not vegan. That's the only issue with them. So as long as you're not vegan, it's not a drug, and it's.
I just want to try the topical stuff.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah. And I just got the capsules because they're a little cheaper.
Yeah.
But like it's been helping. It helps with smoking sensation. So like it helps you. And so I realized like maybe like what I'm craving when I smoke weed, I'm not really craving the THC. I'm craving the CBD that I'm getting from smoking weed.
Yeah.
And so I'm supplementing with CBD, and that's been helping me cut back a lot with smoking weed.
Were you addicted to cigarettes too?
Yes.
Yeah. So it could be the action. I mean, like
oh yeah, for sure.
Like, and seeing the smoke, I think is like it's a gratifying thing. Like,
for sure.
The interesting about vape, the interesting thing about that is it looks like meth smoke. So a lot of like meth users like vape because it looks like meth clouds.
Yeah.
Because it goes up the same way.
I smoked meth on accident once.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Jesus.
I went to this party. It was like one of these kids where it's like his basement was all his and stuff. So there was always a party there. You could just go over to this kid's house and there's always people there.
Great
and there's always
parents.
Yeah, I know exactly. And so I just went over to this guy's house and then everybody was passing around a light bulb. And I was like 14, 15 when I was there. So it was like, I just assumed, I thought it was weed. And I didn't even smoke weed that much. You know what I mean? At that time. And so like, I literally just thought it was just, I from watching Requiem from a Dream, I knew not to use needles. I knew needles were death, but I didn't know smoking anything was bad. And so I literally just like smoked meth with these guys. That's and wild. I know. And it was just I went home, I opened the door. My dad took one look at me and he was like, "Have you been smoking meth?" Just like it was just I don't know if he was joking or if he just knew. Yeah. And I was just like, no, like, you know,
maybe, I'm not sure.
Oh my God. My dad and his past.
Finally,
my dad
we can
and his
bond.
Past. I know. My poor dad. Like, I'll just be like, Dad, did you murder someone? And he was just like, no, mind your own business. Go do your homework. And it's just like.
You hear somebody screaming.
Yeah, I know.
That's the TV.
It's not the TV, help.
You're from Juneau, Alaska?
Yeah, Juneau, Alaska.
There's got to be a lot of meth up there.
Oh, there is.
Yeah.
My mom was keeping this like bead store in business for like a year before they realized it was a meth house.
God damn.
And I know. Yeah. Exactly. Well, I mean,
we had a place called String Beads in Salt Lake, and it stayed open until like maybe 6 years ago. And I was like, how the fuck? And then they were mad when it went out of business. It's like, oh, is the industry for beads?
I know.
Is it gone? No.
There was this we used to have 2 McDonald's. Now we only have 1. So that where McDonald's couldn't afford the rent, this bead store could. And so the bead store moved into where the McDonald's was.
Yeah.
And so my mom does Girl Scouts in my hometown. So my mom was like literally like their only customer. She would go in there and get beads for like Girl Scout projects and stuff. And she was like, I was only the ever person that they've ever seen. Like they would always joke about how I was their only customer and stuff. And it was like, so a job that you're doing for nonprofit that they can't even afford to pay you is keeping alive this bead store.
Yeah.
And then, but like the Juneau cops like don't know what they're doing. Like small town police officers, they're like, it's like there should be a comedy about small town police officers because it's like they're so ridiculous. They don't know what they're doing. So.
Oh yeah.
Huh?
Reno 911.
Oh right, yeah, but like that's totally what they're like. They're so dumb. They don't know what they're doing. So basically, like they hired this guy, like this local guy. They didn't call anybody from like Chicago or New York to come down to like do it. But they got this local police officer that like half the town knew was like a police officer to be like their undercover police officer, and like so this is what happened. So like I worked with this girl. Named.
Aren't you my beat cop? No, I make sandwiches.
This is what he did. So I worked at this coffee shop with this girl, like with this other girl, and she was like, I think a year younger than me, but she was like dating like a kid who dealt drugs and stuff.
Yeah. And
so he went in to like ask her questions and stuff, like as an undercover police officer, like, hey, I'm friends with so-and-so, you know, and then so she was just like, I don't know. And then all of a sudden he's like, actually, I'm a cop, you know, and then like,
surprise, I'm an officer of the law.
I know. And he was wearing like this clean, bright white Hollister sweatshirt. And so this was my shift. He arrested her because she wouldn't answer any of his questions. And then he just started like walking up and down the street with her, waiting for the cop car to come and to like take her downtown, you know? And so like she was
3 blocks away.
I know. And so she was like, it was so funny. Like he was walking with her up and down the block and you can see them walk past the window, like, you know, like just like walking up and down the street.
You're going to be in trouble when my friends are here.
I know, exactly. And so I don't know if this was this cop, but there was this Chinese restaurant that like the people that own this Chinese restaurant were like the big drug kingpins of my hometown, you know?
Yeah.
And so they like so he completely bungled like their undercover operation and stuff, and then the people who owned the restaurant got spooked and sold it immediately, and I don't know, bought a bead store or something, I don't know, but like it's just like they don't know what they're doing. There's nothing they can do. They just like, I don't know. It's ridiculous.
Yeah. Good God. Have you been to Gaslamp District in San Diego? Have you ever been there to Gaslamp? It's like their bar hopping district.
Oh, okay.
And it's terrible. But I was going to say I can't remember what I was saying, but about that girl who was starting fights. Some guy looked at her and I was like, what the fuck? You know what I mean? Because she was like, that guy is looking at me.
And then you were like.
And then I ran up and I got jumped. And so I just got my ass kicked.
Oh.
And I remember just grabbing this guy's pinky, and I'm like, this is all I can do. So I just pulled his pinky back and like tackled him to the ground, and we were just on the ground, and he's like behind me in a headlock, and I'm like pulling his pinky back. And then throughout that whole New Year's weekend, this is just a random blackout story.
Oh, wow.
These people thought that I was this homeless guy. He thought that I was like kidnapping or like doing something whatever with my ex because she was blacked out and like fucked up. And so I'm like, I have my arm around her and I'm like, let's go get a cab. And it's fucking New Year's Eve, so it's super busy. And then he's like following us thinking that I'm gonna do something. I'm like, dude, it's my girlfriend, whatever. And then he came up and I turned around and I go, what do you need, man? And he's like, you're gonna take advantage of that girl. And I go, she's my girlfriend.
Aww.
And I was like, tell her. And she's like puking.
Oh, gosh.
And so he pushed me and I just hit him in the face really fucking hard. And he walked up to me and there was an ambulance parked. And he walked this close and then he turned and he went straight to the ambulance. And then the next morning I woke up and I was like, well, I mean, I got jumped, but I won one fight.
I know, the pinky fight.
Yeah, it was fucking silly.
Aw.
Yeah. Do you have, is Alaska, like, I'd imagine, is there a lot of fentanyl up there now too?
Fentanyl?
Yeah.
I have no idea.
I know there's a lot in Canada.
I think it was like their two main drugs were Oxycontin and meth.
Mm.
And it was because I'm just assuming off of what my stepsister does. Like she had issues with Oxycontin.
Oh, okay.
And, yeah. And then, so I guess, and so like that was an accessible drug, I guess, apparently.
Did you enjoy meth?
No.
Have you ever taken Adderall?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like that.
It is.
Yeah.
Except it's a little bit more, you're a little bit more, I don't know how to describe it, but it's like a head vice. You know what I mean? You're a little more, trapped in it, and
stabby.
Yeah. And, but I didn't like it. And I went to bed right away and I slept it off and stuff. And it was fine. But, yeah, like drugs.
So weird. 14-year-olds smoking meth.
My childhood, my parents, had a lot of, I mean, I don't know, like it was just, I learned how to be manipulative. And I was really good at it, and I could get away with whatever I wanted. And it was just, I lived with my dad and stuff. And it was like, as long as I was a good little girl with my dad and as long as, that relationship was fine, I can kind of get away with a lot. And, but I don't know, like, honestly, like growing up, my happiest memories are just like watching TV with my dad, and I don't know. I don't think I needed to do anything else. I could have just watched TV with my dad and just waited for my life to start. But I was just so bored.
Yeah. That's got to be a place that it's like, it's got to brew fucking like psychos because it's just, there's nothing to do. It's like small towns will do that. Like because Salt Lake City is a pretty fucking small town.
Yeah.
I'd imagine Juneau's probably smaller. But it's just like there's just those, especially during the winter months where it's like, what the fuck am I supposed to do? The sun isn't out. Like, maybe I'll just go smoke meth and stab somebody.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, because meth is huge in Salt Lake too.
Wow.
Yeah.
A lot of people are like claiming meth is like their invention. I've noticed, like, I come from Kentucky, and in Kentucky, there's only two things about Kentucky you need to know: meth and this. And it's like, and then this person's like, I'm from Tennessee, and the only thing you need to know about Tennessee is it's meth and this. And it's like, well, if you're from anywhere, it's all you need to know is that
Thailand
meth exists
too.
there. Yeah.
So, like in Thailand, all these like workers smoke it. And it's just got a different name. Yeah.
What do you think about drug legalization?
I think decriminalization is the best way to go because it's clogging up our our prison system so much.
Yeah.
And the jails and these people, it's just like a rotating.
Do you think that like drug decriminalization would have helped you when you were going through recovery and stuff?
It would have helped me, but I think it would just like for the good of I have little sisters, and like just for the good of education for kids, I think abstinence is always the best if you can do it. But it's just kind of like growing up, it's so dependent on the parents, and like I think a lot of parents don't know how to teach it. So it's just like that girl Jessa had the best thing where it's like if you can smoke it, it's like it's smoking weed is not bad. You know, if it's an opiate, it's a death sentence. Or a life sentence, and then if it's a needle, it's a life sentence, and then meth, stay away from it. But other than that, it's probably fine. Like if you get pure MDMA, there are good characteristics for it.
Yeah.
I mean, they're finding stuff with ketamine. They're finding stuff. Acid's not that bad. Shrooms are not bad.
Well, I don't know about. I mean, I'm for decriminalization in all respects, but like shrooms. I mean, I had a really bad trip off of shrooms,
so
and it's like, and I worry like if somebody does shrooms, like, like would I just like jump off a bridge if I did too much shrooms and just like I don't know, thought I could fly or something? I don't know, because it's like it was crazy, like crazy shit happened when I did shrooms.
Well, there are
like,
certain people who like weed. They say weed triggers if you have schizophrenia laying dormant in your brain, it can trigger that. So I'd imagine. Maybe psilocybin could do something like that, or it could just make you look at, because generally I think people have a decent experience and it doesn't do too much.
I mean, I was smoking so much weed where it was like it was weird. Like I thought like sometimes it would be like I would think people were talking to me on the TV.
Yeah.
You know, it was so. I mean, I totally get where like people are like schizophrenia can occur. You know what I mean? Because it was just like sometimes it's just like, is the universe speaking to me through like this person on the news? You know what I mean?
I like time warped when I smoke too much weed. I smoked an eighth to myself just because I was bored one time, and I just wrapped it all in a blunt and smoked the whole thing. And I swear to God, I sat in a seat and listened to music, and then I looked at the clock and it was like 8:50, and then I looked back and then I looked at the clock again and it was 9:50, and I was like, what the fuck?
Wow.
Yeah. So that's the highest I've been.
The first time I ever got like super fucking stoned was I worked at this coffee shop in Long Beach. And I know I was so dumb when I moved to Los Angeles, and I was just like, okay, I need to find a job. I need to figure out what I'm going to do and stuff. And so I was like, I'm just going to like get a job at a coffee shop in Long Beach. And so the baker that made like pastries for this coffee shop also made pastries for a hospice.
Oh, okay.
They switched the cookies. They delivered cookies that were like meant to like alleviate pain for somebody dying with AIDS. That was how strong these cookies were.
Holy shit.
You know what I mean?
They do that for hospice care?
Yeah.
That's pretty badass.
Yeah. I know it is. Yeah, of course. And so the cookie was delicious, you know, too. I will say that. I ate it all up. Because it was, so what happened was that like the cookie broke because it's like they're a little more crumbly and stuff. And so the cookie broke in half. And so my boss was like, do you want this cookie? It's broken. We can't put it out. And I was like, oh, sure. And so I had a bite of it. I was like, and I ate the whole thing.
Sure.
And then like 20 minutes, half an hour later, this guy handed me a $20 bill. And I'll never forget. I looked at the $20 bill and I was like, this is fucking hilarious. And I started laughing hysterically at this $20 bill. I don't know what about the $20 bill that was so funny, but it was just like, and so then my boss was like, okay, Caroline, go figure out, like I think he ordered cake. And then so I took the cake that was like made with like frosting and was all prepared. And I just took the entire cake and I went and I put it in the oven. And then so then she took a bite of one of the other cookies and she was like, oh my gosh, like this is a pot cookie. And so like the dishwasher guy had to take me home and stuff. No. It was so bad. And then I called my roommate and I thought I left her like a voicemail. Like it was literally like from a comedy. Like I was like, hello, Christine, I took an edible today and I'm like really high and I'm having like, you know, so just so you know. And then so
I'm having a tea party with my friends.
Yeah, I know. That was literally how that was how I thought I was talking to her on this voicemail. And then she showed me the voicemail later and it was just me screaming, Christine, over and over and over again. And it was just and I just slept it off. And then
I've only eaten an edible once. I had two because I made a rookie mistake. I watched the guy fucking bake them.
Oh no.
And I was like, this is good. Tastes like a brownie. I'll have another. And then I was high for a day.
Oh, man.
Literally 24 hours. And
wow.
I woke up the next day, and I remember my girlfriend and her brother came over, and I got up. It was like 8 p.m. the next day, and he's like, "You look like shit." I was like, "Yep." Thought I was going to die for the last 24 hours. So.
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah, because when you digest it, it's a different process. Yeah.
I think like too much of it can hurt your liver at some point. I mean, I guess.
Yeah, maybe.
Because your liver has to digest all that THC and stuff, so like it can cause like people get like nauseous when they eat. Like, edibles and stuff.
I don't know how people fucking eat edibles like it's nothing. I don't know how people smoke as much weed as they do. Well,
I took edibles for a while, and like strictly only edibles for a while because I didn't want to mess up my skin.
Yeah.
And then it was just like, no, this is just too much, and so I just went back to smoking.
It's a whole different thing. It's just so like it's so heavy.
Yeah.
But I know like so many comics I know who aren't necessarily good at hiding it will smoke so much weed, and then they'll just get on stage and they're like,
I know.
It's just like, yeah, great. So I'm glad I sat here for 5 minutes of that. That was fun.
Well, yeah, I mean,
and then they record it, and it's like, what are you gonna review? That time when you went, like it's just fucking. There was somebody at Fourth Wall the other day who was so high. He tried to smoke Callahan's amount of weed, and it was just.
Who's Callahan?
You haven't met Callahan?
No.
Oh, he's great. Yeah. He's fantastic.
Really?
He is out of his mind, but he is.
That's
fucking
good.
hilarious.
It's not bad.
Callahan drove me.
So one more story. What was okay, like what's like a honeymoon story about your addiction? You know what I mean? I feel like there's always like the thing is it's that like with any abusive relationship, like addiction can be like an abusive relationship.
Yeah.
It's like it's not all bad.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? There are good things that come out of it, you know?
Yeah.
And because the devil's a liar, Satan's a liar, and Satan will lie to you for a long time until you're addicted.
Why do you keep looking at Josh? Are you saying it's Jews?
No. I thought I was looking at the camera. And then, was I really looking at Josh?
No,
I was like, Satan's a liar, Josh.
Satan is a liar.
Satan is a liar. Satan will lie to you.
He has a beard. He has background in Israel.
Actually, I mean, from all the photos I've seen of Satan, he looks kind of Italian. If anything, you know what I mean? He has like the like.
He's got a Benicio del Toro looking face. Yeah. So that's because they made him the Wolfman, so it's like I could see him being Satan too.
Yes, for sure.
Or whoever the fuck that guy is on.
I love Monsters.
No Country for Old Men.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love Monster. I went to go see Godzilla recently.
Oh,
Again,
cool.
I took an edible. And it was amazing.
Goddamn.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, see, I wish I could do that. Like, I wish I could get high and go whatever. But let's see. So when I did a study abroad in Argentina, and I met that girl there. And when it was fun, it was fun. Mm-hmm. So we would like a lot of DJs come to Argentina. And so we saw Steve Aoki. And rolled, and I don't know if it was really ecstasy because you're getting it from Argentina,
right?
But it was a blast. I mean, we had a lot of fun. I had a lot of fun doing ecstasy when I had fun doing ecstasy. So it was like I would say it was like 90% of the time was terrible.
Yeah.
Just based on the horrible drugs that I was getting.
Yeah.
But the first time I rolled was probably like the most fun I've ever had on drugs. I remember we were in Coronado. Did you ever go to Coronado when you were in San Diego? It's where the naval base is. And my family used to have a condo there, and I brought like 15 friends, and we all just took ecstasy and sat there and talked for like 6 hours. And it was like, I think it had acid in it too. It was just a pill. And so like we were having this amazing conversation, and everybody's laughing, and like then you would look off in the distance, and like you'd look at a painting, and like the painting would be like morphing and stuff. So we had a blast. Shit like that. Going to concerts where I was like, before I actually was like, I have a problem with this.
Yeah.
I saw A$AP Rocky once, and I just like smoked a blunt and drank Four Loko, and had so much fun.
Yeah.
The the connections that you make with people that at the time you think are awesome.
Right. It's like at clubs in the women's restroom where all these drunk girls are like these strangers and like will be like, "You're so beautiful."
It's exactly like that.
Oh my God, girl, and stuff. And it's like women aren't like that towards each other normally. Yeah. You know what I mean? They are when they're drunk in the club. You know what I mean?
That's dudes when they're drunk.
Really?
It's like they hug. Huh? Yeah. In the restroom, we jerk each other off.
Oh, that's so sweet.
Oh man, nice piece, dude. No, they're just like dudes will like hug you and they're like, "Man, you're so cool. Da, da, da. We should hang out." And then you never fucking talk.
Yeah.
To them. Yeah, or the people you partied with. I think it was just like it felt that feeling of friendship, you know, was cool. And then, just like there was simplicity to it, where it was just like, I'm just gonna get fucked up.
Yeah.
Rather than I'm going to get fucked up and worry about the consequences. It was just like, I'm young and I'm going to get fucked up. Okay.
So I wanted to talk about like personal responsibility and that sort of thing, and like about women, and because there's this story came out, this woman who was like in Dominican Republic, she was like assaulted and stuff. And so, but she said like, I blame myself for this happening. You know, and and the consequences that are coming out of it, I blame myself and I'm taking responsibility for it. And people are like responding to her like, you're a victim, you have victim mentality, like you shouldn't blame yourself and stuff. But like, I don't know, I've been really mulling over that a lot, because I think about the night I was raped, and I think about the choices I made that night, you know, and it's like women should be allowed to, you know, get drunk at parties, you know what I mean, by themselves. And, you know, and I was, you know, at a place where I felt like I was safe and like nothing would happen and stuff. And, but I went into our room to change, and the guy my rapist, he, walked in and he put his hands around my waist, and I was still wearing a bra. And this was before the party started, this was before I drank anything. And so, and I turned around, I was like, "What are you doing?" Like, and don't. And so he left and stuff. But then I always think about that. Like, after I was hammered and after I was fucked up and stuff, and this guy offered to let me sleep in his room. You know, I said yes, you know, but it was like, I always just think like, what if why did I trust this guy that he wasn't going to do anything? You know, and I don't know, and I have all this regret of just all of the things I could have done differently to have prevented this from happening. And you know, and I don't know, like, I mean, it's just do you ever blame yourself for having an addiction? You know, because I mean, it's just
I blame myself in the areas where I had so much control, but it's also, I'm not a person who dwells. Or at least I try not to, because then it helps me to, you know, like I have to move past it. So I look at my past and where I went wrong and where my parents could have done things better. But it also, it's just kind of like, I'm here now, so why? But with that stuff, it's like, yeah, I don't know. Maybe, yeah. I think most about like I could have done better academically. I could have focused on school more. Yeah. I could have made myself, but I think I was just born an outsider. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? And that was what was hard. I just always have this mentality of being an outsider.
Yeah.
And that was a way for me to fit in, was to drink and do drugs. But yeah, that's so weird that like that's how rape works, is like girls will blame themselves for it. Mm-hmm. I think there needs to be an awareness that there are predators.
Yes, for sure.
And you need to be careful where you do things. And that's horrible to say, because girls should feel safe. Mm-hmm. I mean, like they should, but it's not a perfect world. So it's like, you have to be cognizant of, it's like any situation where like, when I lived in Argentina, I would never walk down the street alone.
Right.
Because it's scary. It's just I almost got robbed a bunch of times. But I'm me, and I'm like a bigger dude. So it's just like, chances are they're not going to come at me. And if they do, they're going to come at me with a weapon.
Yeah.
And, you know, but it's just, you got to read the situation. But when it comes to sexual assault, it's like, yeah, that's fucking that's a hard one, because it's just like, yeah, you should be careful where you drink, but also it's like that sucks that has to be a thing. Mm-hmm. So I think that's the problem, is it's like this culture has grown where it's like, you need to be afraid.
Yes.
And it's like, yeah, it sucks
and
that exists.
And it's smart to have that kind of paranoia, you know what I mean? And, you know, and I don't know, like, honestly, like when I know it's not my fault that happened, but I do have to, you know, present a message to women. You know what I mean? These things do happen when you're vulnerable. These guys aren't coming after you when you're sober. You know what I mean? Not usually.
Yeah.
They're looking for girls that are drunk. They're looking for girls that, you know, are scantily clad. They're looking for girls that are, you know, alone. And, you know, that's what predators are looking for, you know? And it's like, so don't be prey.
I think well, because you could be prey, man or a woman. Like it's about leaving yourself open in certain spots and not being, in a situation where you don't think it's smart. It's just trusting your gut, I think.
Yeah, for sure. And so, you know, women going out, like, I go out alone sometimes if I want to go out. Like you know what I mean? But at the same time, like on New Year's, not last year, but the year before, like I lost my friends and stuff. And so I was dancing with this guy, and then I was so drunk, and so I was like, I want to go home. And then this was like it was 2 a.m. and everyone was going home. And I was like, I want to go home. Like, I just want to go home. And this guy was like, okay, I'll take you home. And then so he ended up taking me back to his place.
Oh, shit.
And anything could have happened to me. Anything. And this guy could have done anything to me. You know what I mean? I could have been raped again. Luckily, that didn't end up happening. I just slept over at his place. And we ended up spending the entire day together the next day and stuff. And it was fine. And but it's
not a good look on his part.
No, it's not. But I was very lucky. I was very, very lucky. And, you know, and it's just, I don't know, like I shouldn't take the fact that I'm lucky for granted. You know, I need to look back and see the mistakes I made that night, you know, you know, but yeah, like anything could have happened. And
I think just the best analogy I can come up with is like, imagine you're in a bad neighborhood. You're not going to flash cash. So it's just like, that's like being around. Imagine there's a sociopath around you at all times and you're leaving your wallet open.
Yeah.
And it's just like, and that doesn't say anything about like dressing a certain way. It's like, if you get sloppy drunk anywhere, man or woman, somebody can take advantage of you in one way or another.
Yeah. Okay. So that was our episode today. Pete, thank you so much for coming.
Yeah, thank you for having me on.
Plug your podcast.
It's called Blackout Pod.
Plug it again. Sorry.
It's called Blackout Pod with Pete Souvall, P-E-T-E. That's how you spell Pete, and then Souvall, S-O-U-V-A-L-L. Yeah, and Pete Souvall on Instagram.
It's very good. And you have a very interesting guest coming on.
I do, today. Yeah. It should be up today. I got the audio today. So it's gonna be a blast.
Okay. Yeah. So it's coming along really well.
Yeah, it's
good
been fun.
For you.
Yeah.
All right.
Thank you.
All right. Well, thank you for watching, and that was our episode. And we'll see you. Please like and subscribe and comment and support the podcast that way. Thank you very much.